Our mission is to empower each and every person to discover themselves through fragrance. And we want that to resonate to our people. So it's not just our mission for our consumers, but it's for our people as well. I'm really a pioneer for our talent acquisition department. I've built things from the ground up. So it's been really exciting to have that kind of movement. Ask every candidate in the interview, like, what are 1 to 3 non-negotiables you need in your next role? And that doesn't just mean benefits or, cash comp. Well, that is usually people's answer. A lot of it is people are like, my last workplace was toxic. We always say that hiring is a two-way street. We want you, but you have to want us back. So I think providing that transparency in the interview process has been really helpful.
We are here with Rhianna Chaffin, Senior Talent Acquisition Manager for Scentbird, a monthly subscription service that has revolutionized the way people discover fragrance and beauty. It's such a cool brand. Rhianna has worked for some really fun and well-known CPG companies, and I am really looking forward to having her perspective on here today. Rhianna, could you just start by telling us a little bit more about Scentbird, your role there, and any previous experiences that led you up to the role?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm really excited to be here. So thanks for having me. As you mentioned, yes, Scentbird is a D2C e-commerce brand. We were founded in 2014, and it's a fragrance subscription service. We have a little over 400,000 subscribers to date, and just over 600 different designer fragrances for our consumers to choose from each month. Scentbird also just went through a rebrand. So the logo, the look, feel, colors, photography, everything about it, just to elevate the brand to really match all of those luxury fragrances we have in the building. And something that maybe people don't know a ton, but we actually have 4 owned brands that sit underneath the Scentbird umbrella. So we have 2 of our own in-house fragrances. One's called Confessions of a Rebel, which is marketed as more of a unisex fragrance line. And then we have Sanctuary, which I always say is our feel-good fragrance line. It's 20% of proceeds go towards protecting wildlife. All the fragrances are named after endangered species. And that was completely chosen by our community. So we sent out a lot of tastemakers, did a lot of testing with our community and some of our high driven consumers. And that's what we came up with, Sanctuary. So it's really exciting. That came out last year. And then we have a vegan cosmetics line called Deck of Scarlet, focusing on lips, cheeks, and eyes. And then we have a blue light skincare line called Good Habit, which just has so many good skincare for blue light, obviously made more for traveling and protecting yourself from the monitor you sit in front of every day. So that's a little bit about Scentbird, and then about myself. So I actually came from agency, where I was placing a lot of high volume of direct hire and contract candidates. And I wanted to go in-house just because I didn't want to leave them at the end of the day, right? You place someone and you never see them again. So I started with a high profile travel luxury brand called Away. And I worked there for about 1.5 years, and I absolutely loved it. It was that lifestyle, like, I get to say I work here. It's so cool. But the pandemic hit. I was unfortunately furloughed. So Scentbird really just fell into my lap at the right timing. I was in the right place at the right time. And as terrible as the pandemic was, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I absolutely love working at Scentbird. I'm really a pioneer for our talent acquisition department. I've built things from the ground up. So it's been really exciting to have that kind of movement, and kind of compare. Away was a lot larger than Scentbird is, but I get to be a part of that growth and development in the beginning stages.
Well, it's such a fun journey, and congratulations on your role with them. I can imagine the pandemic brought a lot of disappointments, but that's amazing that you were able to get be able to work for such an awesome company now. So Scentbird was named one of the fastest growing companies in the Northeast and one of the best places to work in retail right now, when top talent is super hard to come by and even really hard to keep. What is Scentbird doing to attract top talent?
Yeah, it's definitely a candidate's market right now. We're seeing it, we're feeling it as well. But getting those honors and those recognitions really came from our people. So that's helping us attract the top talent. When the pandemic hit, initially we had 3 separate workforces. So we had our domestic team, our warehouse team, and then we had our overseas team. So we actually have a very large workforce that supports us overseas. But we were a New York-based organization. We then went fully remote. And what that actually helped us discover was we can find talent anywhere. And that's really been kind of our edge is we are now fully remote. And while I live in New York, so I think some of the greatest talent comes from here, I think outside of our bubble and being able to reach and really find talent where the talent is versus where we are has been super helpful. We have a lot of people basically our whole marketing team is over on the West Coast. We've got people in the Midwest. Like we're really able to stretch. And I think that that's been really helpful. The world has proven we can work remote. And so to be able to kind of live and breathe that, it also helps with work-life balance. People are kind of managing their own schedule and, they're getting to do their own thing, which is really nice. I also think our interview process is really great, if I do say so myself, but a lot of it is we try to provide a really high touch experience. So quick response time. We provide, interview guides, support, a lot of transparency in the interview process, which I think is great. We always say that hiring is a 2-way street. We want you, but you have to want us back. So I think providing that transparency in the interview process has been really helpful. So I think that's what we've been doing, and it's been working. We had a really high hiring year last year. So.
Now, what do you think is the ethos of Scentbird that you believe really resonates with candidates?
Yeah, so our mission is to empower each and every person to discover themselves through fragrance. And we want that to resonate to our people. So it's not just our mission for our consumers, but it's for our people as well, which means there's not a one size fits all or cookie cutter approach to how, especially from the HR side, how we approach our people. So we've been using that kind of as our drive, especially given that we have workforces both overseas and domestically. You can't cater to everybody in the same way. So that's really, you can take onboarding, for example, and that, yes, we have an onboarding experience, but if certain needs are needed or we have to alter the way that we approach it, we can do that really easily because we know that at the core of it, people are the most important part.
I really love that you touch on that, especially because with consumer product goods, oftentimes people look at the brand, and so many times in the past, people look at the brand and they love what it looks like and they love the product and they end up wanting to work for the brand. But sometimes working for the brand is a totally different experience on the inside. So the fact that you really bring your external ethos to how you run the company is so encouraging. And I think that's something that is a huge conversation right now. Based on your experiences over your career, what is your hiring advice for CPG companies in 2022?
Yeah, I think it's so great that you just said that about, you're talking about like their needs and matching that, and especially in the workspace that we're in. And I kind of approach it the same way. When I worked in agency, I was just like, you need a job. This looks great. Just do it. You're trying to fill a role. But talking about the 2-way street of we want them to want us as much as we want them. I ask every candidate in the interview, like, what are 1 to 3 non-negotiables you need in your next role? And that doesn't just mean benefits or, cash comp. Well, that is usually people's answer. A lot of it is people are like, my last workplace was toxic, or, I was burnt out, whatever it is. And so when we're able to understand what a potential new hire needs from like a people aspect, we're able to hold it with us and touch on it, not just in the interview process, but through their career with Scentbird. So I found that that's the best advice I could probably give is like, it's not just about us and our company. And I've worked places where they would be like, we don't care what you need because you get to say you work here, which is like the best part, right? And it's like, right. For us, that's the best part. I mean, and a lot of people, that's why we work here, but it's all about the needs of what the person coming in. That's how you're going to get a long-term support. You're not going to have high turnover. The attrition is going to be lower. Like, it's just, everything will be different when you just ask that one simple question.
Yeah, I think that's such a strong takeaway if for people to take away from this is asking what those non-negotiables are, but beyond the idea of just perks and benefits, because that's a given. We understand the compensation side, but the Great Resignation has posed so much of this conversation around what people want in terms of work-life balance, or the people that they're working with, or what is a non-toxic culture mean for them, or the ability to be able to grow and collaborate with someone. So to understand what drives meaning and purpose for people internally in their workplace is such a great question to have in your interview process. Yeah. Last question for you, Rhianna. So at Solvable, we're all about what drives purpose and meaning for people at work. So I would love to know what drives purpose and meaning for you at Scentbird.
Yeah. I know I keep saying this, but our people truly, and I mentioned this in the beginning about my time in agency, and that I would just send them off, and then I'd have to check LinkedIn to see what they're up to. And I'm really driven by seeing the journey of our people. Like, I feel the most rewarded every time I see someone get promoted, or they get a salary increase, or what they're being highlighted in our town hall meeting. Like, that is so exciting. Especially if you work at Scentbird in the last 2 years and you were hired, chances are it was through me. So it's just really nice to see that I have such a huge hand in building it. And then the second part of that is having, especially with onboarding, that's such a big topic. And the last 10 responses I've gotten from our surveys from our new hires is like, this is the best onboarding experience they've ever had. And it feels really good to know that, it's not just whatever we can do to get them in the door. It's like keeping them in the door and, making them feel like they belong from day one.
Rhianna, thank you so much for being on with us today. And thank you all for listening to Architects of Contemporary Hiring.